What's up, guys? It's Scoopman5000. Today we're back for another action figure review, and always a good thing looking at some McFarlane DC Multiverse. And today we got an interesting one. This is the Nightwing from Death of the Family, New 52, otherwise known as the jokerized Nightwing. It's definitely a weird pick. It's a bit obscure. If you actually go to the comic this is based on, it's actually based on the cover art of Nightwing issue 16 in the New 52. But in that story, you won't find anything that looks like this. It really is just in the cover art. There's like one panel where Nightwing's kind of getting infected by the gas, but he never really fully transformed. So literally just based on the cover art, which looks cool, they made a figure of it. And that's the Todd McFarlane way. You make cool looking shit and people are gonna buy it. So I'm all about it. You could see I picked this one up early. Got to give a shout out to TMNT Motu RGB over on Twitter. He found this guy early and he gave it to me for price plus shipping, which is the way things should be. And yeah, really cool piece. I think this figure, despite it being from the New 52, of this style, this design fits so perfectly with the Dark Knight's metal figures. And so while this isn't at all from Dark Knight's metal, there is a metal multiverse. There is universes where something like this could happen, and he just looks so perfect. He's going to look great alongside the Batman who laughs with those crow robins. So that's where he's going to end up on my shelf. For the packaging, it's the same we're used to with McFarlane toys. We get logos sometimes. Here we don't get anything. Would have been cool to maybe get like a New 52 logo or just Nightwing somewhere on the box. On the side, you see Nightwing, Death of the Family. On the other, the window is continued. And then on the back, you can see the artwork. And interesting, they didn't choose the actual Nightwing issue 16 artwork, but instead this is from issue 1, or I think from first volume. But this is just the regular New 52 Nightwing. It might even be the same card that came with the 2-pack with Red Hood, but I don't have that 2-pack, so I couldn't tell you. And here's the UPC at the bottom. This guy's just starting to show up in Targets. I think he is set for April 1st release date. And you're also going to be finding him alongside John Stewart and Bizarro, who I definitely hope to get my hands on pretty soon. But that does just about cover packaging for Nightwing. So as always, let's get to it, and let's take him out, and let's take a look. And here's Nightwing out of the packaging. And for accessories, before we get there, of course, he's included with the black figure stand with the DC logo varnished on there. We get this with every figure, and we go over it every time, and we say how redundant that is. And of course, we're also getting the trading card, and it's that same artwork from the back of the box, Nightwing, Death of the Family. And when you go to the back, it tells you this artwork is from Nightwing #1, even though this specific design is from Nightwing 16, and it just goes into the bio of Dick Grayson Nightwing. Nothing to do with this issue with the Joker, but the trading card is fun as always, and I'll add that to my collection. This one does feel a bit thinner though than usual, so maybe we're cutting costs a bit. The only real accessories are Nightwing's Eskrima sticks. He's kind of got the grip on one side and it's smoother on the other. I'd say they're a bit warped out of the packaging because of how the figures pose and how you have to pull them out of the bubble, but it's definitely not the end of the world. They're nice little accessories. Maybe we could use like an electricity effect or a bit of paint on these things, but they do what they need to. And if you have the original Nightwing from Wave 1, or if you have the New 52, you know exactly what to expect here. And that's going to go for the rest of the figure, because the only real unique piece to this guy is going to be that head sculpt. And I know that's kind of frustrating a lot of people with McFarlane's. We're getting full-on variants that really are just head sculpt differences, but I don't mind it because, you know, each character has a specific mold. There's a Nightwing mold, there's a Red Hood mold. It's not like Marvel Legends where you have Bucky, Cap, and you can get all these obscure characters. They really put all the sculpt into specifically making this guy Nightwing. His emblem is raised here. He's got the buckles. He's got the little holders for his sticks in the back. So if you want to get more money out of this mold, you got to make more Nightwing figures. We have the main one, we have the New 52. So now we got to start getting creative. So with this one, it's probably a radically different Nightwing compared to the other designs you can make that aren't just the blue emblem or the red emblem. So I like it for that reason. And like I said before, I think he's a great companion piece to the Dark Knight's metal line. But we'll go ahead and we will look at the head sculpt, considering that that is really the only unique piece on this figure. If you have New 52 Nightwing, this is identical. And if you have the Wave 1, you're just getting a difference in paint. And there's a better look at his mean mug. If you look at it in comparison to the comic book cover, Nightwing #16, I think it's a pretty good job. The hair is swept in the same direction, and the expression is similar. You could definitely tell it's what they were pulling from, but at the same time it has that McFarlane Toys stylization. And as always, the paint is done pretty flawlessly on this guy. The mask, there's no bleeding, and the teeth especially, you got multiple layers of different reds in there, and then the yellowed teeth even have maybe a slight wash or differentiation in color, so really nice. And then the hair is especially sculpted nice too. Like I said, it has some movement to it, and there's a bit of some crazy pieces popping out at the ends here, like you would expect on a crazy jokerized version of Nightwing. And there's the side profile, so overall, really nice on the head sculpt. And that's really the main appeal of this figure, so that had to be good, and I think they did deliver. When you get to the rest of them, this is your Nightwing figure that you're used to from McFarlane, like I said. I actually don't have the new 52 version yet, but I do have the Wave 1, so we're going to actually pull these guys in together, do a bit of an early comparison. And here's the two Nightwings next to each other. You can see the differences. The hair is a lot shinier on the Wave 1. Here it's much more matte. And if anything, that should be swapped because that cover art, it is raining. You'd actually want more of a glossy effect in that case. But you can see for the main body sculpt, there is no difference here. It's the exact same. The raised emblem looks the same, and that's accurate. If anything, the new 52 Nightwing does have a bit of a larger Nightwing bird on his chest, but it's not the end of the world. It still gets across the ideas. However, if you do look at that cover art, which this is based on, there are differences that this sculpt doesn't allow for. So for instance, these red bands down here, these are not on that design. He does look like he has some armor or some wraps around there, but it's much different looking. There's a bit more to it, and they're all done in black. And then also the main difference would be in the gauntlets here. Here we just have some belts going around each wrist, but actually it's much closer to Batman's like wrist guard with the fins coming out of it. That's what you have on that version of this design. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a Nightwing repaint that they did the most creative thing they could, but also saving as much cost as possible. So with this type of figure, I guess it's not for everybody. It's if you want it, it's out there. And I think that's the main thing that I kind of don't get about complaints like this, because no one's telling you to buy every single McFarlane. If you're a completionist, you're going to have to be a completionist, and there's definitely not going to be every single figure is going to be a home run for you. So I'm on board fully with McFarlane, but I understand people don't like these repaints, different recolors, and head sculpt. With that, we'll go over his articulation, and I haven't really posed my Nightwing around probably since I bought him a year ago, so I don't really remember how this guy articulates. So you can see the head looks up that far, and it's going down that much, and he does have really awesome tilt, which you want for a kind of menacing Joker character like this. Get some real expressive neck movements. For the torso, it seems like the lower torso is doing a lot more of the work. He's going back that far. The crunch is virtually non-existent. He really goes forward that much, which could be better, but the sculpt kind of limits it here, and I guess they had to because of the Nightwing logo. I will say his arms definitely look short. It's something I'm noticing a lot more when in comparison to the original. I mean, it's definitely the same sculpt, but maybe this plastic is a bit shinier, so something's throwing me off there, but definitely seems like his arms are short in comparison to the rest of them. He's got those butterflies, and these are kind of stock butterflies where they're not terribly usable, but they are there. They do just give you that extra little bit of movement. Otherwise, the arms are standard. He's going up that far, which is pretty good. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and McFarlane hinges at the wrist. Under his big rubber diaper, you see he's got the McFarlane leg system. The legs are only kicking out 45 degrees. Kick back is not the best. Kind of starts to go through this rubber diaper piece. And kick forward is a lot better. You can see the knee is going to bend double all the way back. And then you got McFarlane hinges at the foot as well as a toe hinge. And that is just about everything worth mentioning with the jokerized Nightwing. So now let's go ahead and let's do some comparison. And here we are with some other members of the Bat family. We got Damian Wayne, and we got Jason Todd, Robin, and Red Hood, respectively. And these are some great recent figures. I never reviewed them because I felt like I was a bit late to them. The Red Hood was a random Walmart find, and Damian was actually a Target find a little while ago. But I am still keeping up to date with these guys, and I don't have this 2-pack, but I guess I don't really need it. I'll probably still end up getting it anyway. But the heights here are just about good. I think there's argument that Damian's a bit too tall, but I guess it depends on how old you think Damian is. You know, I could headcanon it where he's 16 or 17 or something, and then he doesn't look that short next to these two. But overall, some really nice stuff. I think if you're a Bat family fan, we've definitely gotten a really good selection from McFarlane so far. And you can't have the Bat family without the Batman himself. Here we have the Detective Comics 1000, which I guess is the closest thing we have to a Jim Lee New 52 styled Batman. It's definitely not New 52, but we just don't have one that's similar enough. And then we also have Thomas Wayne, just for variety, and obviously Thomas Wayne was pretty integral in kickstarting the New 52. So again, really awesome Bat family. They're all about the same height, which I guess is fine. I mean, maybe Nightwing should be a bit shorter, but McFarlane's priority does not seem to be scale, so I'll take what I can get. This is good enough for me. And here is with our two comic book Jokers. We got the Rebirth and the White Knight versions of the characters. None of these are similar to the New 52 at all. That's, of course, when the Joker ripped his face off and sewed it back on. That's the version of the Joker that Nightwing fights in this comic. It'd be cool to get that since we have this small New 52 line. I think a Batman and a Joker would be pretty essential. Since we have Red Hood and Nightwing, it would only make sense. And then finally, this is the crew he's going to be hanging out with on my shelf. We got the Batman Who Laughs from Wave 1, and we have the Crow Robin from the Merciless Wave. And despite these comics being like 10 years apart, different universes entirely, and I guess this Nightwing didn't even really happen. It was just a cover. This is too perfect to not display together. And I think McFarlane definitely knew what they were doing when they made this figure a possibility. Because Nightwing in metal, he was totally different. He was actually part of the Resistance book, and he was doing like a side quest, basically. But, you know, we could always imagine that Batman Who Laughs plucked this version of Nightwing. This could be the Nightwing Who Laughs, and he kind of recruited him, and he's doing it to mess with Batman. Makes all the sense in the world. That's the whole reason he made the Crow Robins, so here's a Crow Nightwing. And overall, that is going to do it for the death of the family Nightwing. An obscure but an interesting and a pretty cool figure at the end of the day. I will say it made me read an issue of a comic book I probably never would have, and I didn't really know what was going on, but it was pretty cool, and I was a bit disappointed we didn't see this character in that book, but at the end of the day, the toys is what really matters, and so we have a really cool Nightwing variant to add to the collection. Let me know what you guys think of the figure down in the comments. Do you think he goes along with the metal crew pretty well, as much as I do? Or do you think he's going to be on his own shelf, or on the miscellaneous shelf, if you will? As always, I'm going to be taking some pictures of this guy, and I'm going to leave them on Instagram, scoopman_5000, as well as the end of this video. You can see my whole library of figure photography over on Instagram. My most recent reviews have all been McFarlane's. I looked at some Spawn figures recently. And then if you go back, there's tons of wrestling, other DC Multiverse, Marvel Legends, Ninja Turtles, and everything in between on this channel. And it's only going to get better as we go into the summer and more companies start releasing new product. So you're definitely going to want to stick around here. But that is going to do it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.